The year 1789 was a year of a revolution. It is said the conditions in France made people to rise up and stage a revolution. They were rising up against Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. I can tell you, before I continue, I'll tell you one Kasoma Farouk of Uganda's idea. No one is coming in your life. No one is coming in your life. The government is busy. Your clan is busy. Even your friends are busy. So it's upon you to liberate yourself. All together. As the French rose up to demand for their rights. So we are saying today, the year 1789 was a year of revolution. We are challenging minds. What caused the French Revolution of 1789? Number one, the social class system in France. It is said the social class system in France, where people are divided into classes, nobles, clergy, and peasants. The peasants were the majority. There were 23 millions. The nobles and the clergy were 2 millions. So it is this that made the peasants to rise up. Because the minority had great rights. They had great pieces of land. They were not paying taxes. Moreover, the peasants who were struggling economically, I can tell you they were paying so many taxes. I can say, among the peasants we had the middle class, even the bourgeoisie, people who had a lot of money. But it is said they were the only one to pay taxes. The nobles and the clergy were not paying what? Taxes. So it was the social class system in France, where people were divided into classes, that made the peasants, who were the majority, to rise up and stage what? A revolution by 1789, because they were demanding for land. They were demanding for fair taxation system. That's why they had to rise up. Another one, the influence of the philosophers. We are saying philosophers, these were great thinkers and writers. After realizing that the things were not moving on well in France, what they did, they wrote ideas concerning about change. Their ideas were read by so many people. For example, Jean-Jacques Rousseau wrote and said, men are born free, but everywhere they are in chains. Their books were read by so many people. The peasants, the marginalized, who did not have land, who did not have freedom of worship, had to rise up after reading the works of the philosophers. I can tell you, by the time the revolution took place, the philosophers were already dead. But their writings made them to rise up and stage what? A revolution. So the year 1789 was the year of a revolution. Among the honored philosophers, we had Voltaire. We had Jean-Jacques Rousseau. All of these were great thinkers. Voltaire, he was the most popular and most admired. His works were read by so many people. As they criticized the ancient regime, I can tell you their books were read by so many people. That's why people had to rise up and stage what? A revolution by 1789. Another one, the nature of the French system of government. Let me tell you, the nature of the government, it was full of corruption. People were paying so many taxes, but the government officials were wasting money in unnecessary issues. So it was the nature of the French system of government that annoyed the masses in France, and the masses had to rise up and stage a revolution. It is said all great posts went to the nobles and the clergy. The peasants, moreover, some of them were highly educated, middle-class people. We are not considered when it came to great jobs in the government. So it was the nature of the French system of government that made the masses in France by 1789 to stage what? A revolution. Then the role of the Catholic Church. It is said the Catholic Church controlled land, and the peasants used to pay a lot of rent, those that were occupying that land. So it is said it was because of the Catholic Church, its influence, controlling land, not giving people freedom of worship. I can tell you the only religion that was so much honored was Catholicism. So it is this that made the peasants who wanted freedom of worship, who wanted freedom over land, to rise up and stage a revolution. So the year 1789 was the year of revolution. I can tell you, as Dennis Richard put it in his book, Illustrated Modern Europe, that when conditions are bad, people must rise up and stage a revolution. Then the character of Louis XVI. Let me tell you, Louis XVI he was a leader, but he was a very weak leader. It is said when he took political power, when he was 20 years, he said it is as if the heaven is going to fall on me today. He feared the responsibility. It is said he was easily influenced by the wife, Marie Antoinette. Whatever Marie Antoinette was saying, this man used it to honor and acknowledge. It is this that made men of courage in the society to stage a revolution, arguing that the leader, Louis XVI, was easily influenced by the wife Marie Antoinette. So the character of Louis XVI, he didn't have the character of a leader. I can tell you, they misuse the government money every time celebrating life with the wife Marie Antoinette. That's why the year 1789, people staged the revolution. Then the influence of Marie Antoinette, the most beautiful woman of her time. It is said Marie Antoinette used to buy 4 pairs of shoes every week. It is said she had 500 maids. These ones were workers working at her home. We couldn't mind, but I can tell you, people are struggling. So it is this that made people to rise up and stage a what? A revolution. So the year 1789, it was the year of a revolution. When the conditions are bad, people must rise up and stage a what? A revolution. That's why people rose up in France and they staged a revolution. So I can say the influence of Marie Antoinette, who used to misuse government money, she made the masses to rise up and stage a revolution. Then the influence of England. Let me tell you, England was a monarchy, but for it was a constitutional what? Monarchy. It was a monarchy, but ruling according to the what? To the constitution. So it influenced the French to stage a revolution. Because the French were saying, how comes that England is a monarchy, but for it has a what? A constitution. In France, they didn't have a what? A constitution. By the way, Louis XVI said, the thing is legal because I wish it. If I wish to eat government money, it's legal. So it is this that made the masses in France to rise up and stage a what? A revolution. Because by this time they were influenced by England. They were saying, how comes that England is a monarchy, but for it has a what? A constitution, and for us we don't have a what? A constitution. Another one, the American War of Independence. It is said, the American War of Independence, one time America was colonized by Britain, but it took great men of honor, like of course George Washington, to fight for the American War of Independence. That's why a great city is called Washington, D.C., remembering the legacy of a man called Washington. So it is said by this time, the American War of Independence. When the Americans were fighting for their independence, Louis XVI took French soldiers to go and help the Americans to get their independence. Helping couldn't be bad. But the problem was one. When they reached there, they realized that the people they were helping, they were even far better than them. In other words, they had freedom of worship, they had some land. So these French soldiers who went to help the Americans, when they came back in France, they staged the what? The revolution. Arguing that were they are helping those people, but the people they are helping are even far better than what? Than us. That's why they staged the revolution. They were influenced by the American War of Independence. Then the financial crisis. It is said in France there was what you call financial crisis. People were struggling economically. Unemployment, poverty was the order of the day, and money was being spent by Louis XVI. It is said even he had the courage to help the Americans when they were